Hi, everybody. It's Friday. I'm Megan with Megan Thompson Coaching, and I'm here to talk about why I am why I do this work. It's been something that's been swimming around in my head for quite some time now. How to put this out to the world, and um, I I didn't really necessarily prepare what I wanted to say before I got on here. But I think it's important for you as parents to know why I do what I do. We've talked a lot about, or I've talked a lot about, how I've gotten to this point in terms of my clinical expertise as a therapist and the fact that I've been working with highly sensitive kids for 10 years. But only a handful of you know that my sister is highly sensitive. And so I wanted to talk about how I was shaped to do this work. Um, I was born driven and opinionated. Um, that's no question about it. I think I got that from my grandma Shirley, who had a very crotchety mouth and super passionate, and um, that came, that's where I get my redheaded fire. Even though she's Swedish, she wasn't Irish, like my mom's side of the family. Um, but I think what's led me to this place this year and branching out into coaching and opening up this Facebook group and being vulnerable on Facebook is the fact that I grew up with a highly sensitive sister. And let me know if you're watching, say hi. Um, and we didn't fucking know that growing up. Like, we just thought that she was dramatic. And oh, hi, Jen. Thanks for watching. And this is something that I don't talk about a lot because I feel ashamed about it, how I treated my sister when I was younger. Um, but I share that with families that I work with directly because it's important for families to hear that growing up, it was my brother and my sister and I, my parents. And my parents are fantastic parents. So obviously they raised somebody who went to, got their master's degree. My brother works in Manhattan. My sister runs her own business. They're great parents. So this is not like a traumatic history story. What I'm getting at here is that growing up with a highly sensitive sister, we dealt with meltdowns a lot, and my parents didn't know what to do. They did the typical parenting shit, like my way or the highway, do as I say. They listened to us, and when we talked, they were there. But as the oldest of three, and my sister's the middle child, we weren't mushy gushy growing up. And I think that's a product of my parents, the way my parents were raised. And my dad's parents struggle with alcohol, and my dad grew up grateful to have an amazing life and just happy all the time. And he's an amazing man who's super fucking happy. And hi, Tina. And of course, when I disappointed them, they would talk about, we're very disappointed, and we'd have that conversation. But I speak a lot about how that doesn't work for highly sensitive kids, and it's super true. My sister did not respond to the typical parenting response, and as a result, she was the pariah in our family. Tina, you're welcome. And I have to say it bluntly in that respect, because while we all love each other, I joked with my brother that she was adopted. And that, even just saying that on Facebook is like fucking crazy that I'm saying that, but that's how we felt as teenagers growing up. And I don't want that for your family. I don't want that for your highly sensitive child or children. Um, because I know that it affected my sister, and we've repaired our relationship. We talk weekly. We have a great relationship now. I feel like I'm the only one who knows how to speak her language now that I know what I know. So there's the ins and outs of that and the family dynamic. But fuck, it took a long time to get there, and she's she still needs support in managing that, and she knows that she is cool with me, and she's actually the only non-parent who's in this group, so she'll be able to watch this video. Um, but it's important for us, for me, to help you work with your kiddo so that your kiddo doesn't feel broken. I was talking to a family late last night, as we were trying to figure out if we were a good fit to work together, and I I said, when I went into being a therapist, I never had any interest in working with adults. I was like, that's totally not my thing. Um, at first I wanted to work with teenagers, and then I branched into working with young kids because that was the first job I got, and I ended up loving it. Um, so working with parents is a bonus for me. That's a byproduct of the purpose that I was put on this earth to do. The purpose that I was put on this earth to do is to help highly sensitive children not feel broken like I made my sister feel growing up. And I have to own that because I didn't know what the fuck I was saying. And none of us in our family knew that she was highly sensitive. We just called her dramatic, and we just thought that she was a crybaby, and that fucking sucked for her. And only when I was beyond grad school did I know that there was a thing called highly sensitive kid, and like the highly sensitive personality type, because I was type A, top of my class, driven, typical oldest child. There was something wrong with you if you were highly sensitive, if you let your feelings manage your decisions. And as I've gotten into my adulthood, I've become more aware of my emotions and how those two things, decisions and emotions, can work together and bond together effectively and healthily. But the role I played in my family was the one who had it all put together, the leader, because that's what my parents value, and it's what the whole family values is not just financial success or A's and stuff like that, but it's definitely part of it. And so I took to that, ran with it, because I was not athletic. I was bullied in school. Whereas my brother and sister thrived in athletics, and so there was one part where I felt like the alien in the family because I didn't have those skills. But the truth is that highly sensitive kids feel that alienation even deeper. So I know when I felt like a pariah in my family because I wasn't athletic or I didn't have those skills, and I was like the last picked on in kickball and called Shamu in high school. I knew how shitty I felt, and to recognize that my sister felt 600 more times shittier, and learning that was heartbreaking. And it totally shifted the way that I see the world and the way that I do this work. And I only knew what I knew when I was only a therapist and not just parent coach, was that I could only touch the community that I was in, which is outside of Frederick, Maryland. But then I found out about coaching and offering courses and reaching more families to help more families make this change. And so I fucking decided to do that on top of having a 1.5-year-old at that point and running my own private practice and figuring that out after only 6 months because I am, like I said before, type A, and I do steps 1 and 2 simultaneously, and learn as I go in that respect. But I knew that this needed to get out to more people, that what I was saying and what I was doing in this tiny little corner of Maryland was more important than the stress that it would create for me and that I would be able to have to manage to make sure my family didn't fall apart. Jennifer says, "You have shifted the way I see my child and I will be forever grateful." So that's what I'm grateful to do, Jen. That's what gets me up in the morning. Knowing that I'm not perpetuating the family dynamic that my family had and is a hell of a lot harder to repair when you're inside the family. Try my damnedest. I do a lot of teaching and a lot of validating of my sister's experiences. And my mom says a lot, if only we had somebody when she was growing up like you. Whenever I feel challenged by this work, my mom is the person I call. And because she's living proof that this is a thing, this is something that needs to happen. And it's why I know that I am so effective at this work and why I'm so confident, because I have to be confident because I have to be effective, because I was put on this earth to do that. And I didn't know that. I didn't set out for that. I didn't know it in my full heart until like a couple of years ago. But now that I know it, there's no going back. I'm rambling at this point. I don't really know if there's more for me to say about it besides helping you understand why this group is here. Why I want you to share and ask questions and provide support for each other, because you're alone. You have no idea if there's other people in the world like you whose kids are struggling and who gets messages from teachers that your parenting is shitty and your kid is a perfect angel at school, only to come home to a mess. And that's why I'm so fervent in the message and why I get into arguments with people online about their shit responses to like therapy needs to take forever. And there's multiple ways to address this, and no, there's one way to do it, because it's a fucking effective, and you don't need to wait years to let your kid figure it out and then still struggle as an adult. Just hearing how many highly sensitive adults are still struggling to maintain a relationship without making threats, or threatening to leave the relationship. Hold down a job without saying, well, this is too uncomfortable, I don't like being told what to do. Or that my way or the highway perspective that your children can take at this point, it doesn't always go away. And that's what I think is super important for parents to hear. And that's why I'm so blunt about it. Because I don't think that I'm doing you any good being a flowery therapist and I'm not a therapist on Facebook, but it's part of my personality. That's part of who I am. Being this flowery human who's just like, it'll work out. Because it just might fucking not. And hearing that is what gets you moving to do something different. Sitting here with my hand on my chin like I'm some weird talking head. Sorry. Um, in grad school, I was taught to not be myself. Um, they actually call it like be a blank slate, so that the family or the whoever you're serving, the client, um, can bring their full self without fear of judgment, without fear of um, feeling like they need to please you because you're a human. Um, and then later in my training and learning different ways to be a therapist, um, I was given permission to say, fuck that. Because everybody comes in to an office with, or into a relationship, whether it's coaching or therapy, with that fear. And you, it's more helpful, more effective if somebody is an actual human that you're talking to. So that's why I think I speak so highly about, or so steadfastly about, what's important in any relationship when you seek professional help for your kid, whether that be working with me through coaching or in my private practice or another therapist or another parent coach, is that that person needs to be a real human, like a live person. And if they're not, then run, because it's not going to work for you and your family with that perspective. Like, genuineness and authenticity is what is healing for families who need that level of support in a therapeutic relationship, but it's what's motivating for families who need coaching. So that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get all of this like jargony language that makes you notice the diplomas on my wall, um, because that's not what fucking matters. What matters is that your kid doesn't feel like a shitty human. And I hope that you're not playing this with your kid. I mean, I guess whatever. It's 3:50. Your kid's out of school. If you're on the on the East Coast. So sorry that this is not safe for little ears, but I didn't prepare to have a not authentic conversation today, or a more professional conversation, I guess. Whatever the hell that means. Because I swear in my office, and I swear on my coaching calls, so. I don't know that I have anything more to say. I don't even know how long I've been talking, so. But I feel better sharing that, so I guess that's why I got on here, because I was sitting on it for a really long time. And it just felt inauthentic to not share why I do this, to not validate my sister in this experience by sharing why I do this. And I don't know that I have anything else to say. I'm taking long pauses, so it's clear that I'm like no longer run of the mouth at this point. But I hope that this helps validate you and your experience as a parent of a highly sensitive kid, and motivate you to take action and not just scroll through the feed of the stuff that I talk about, but to actually use it and to reach out for help if you need that direct support. Because it's only going to be effective if you do something different. and you can believe that that's gonna, what you're reading is gonna by osmosis help your kid. But if you don't jump in with 2 feet and decide that you're gonna do something different and stay in that decision for a long fucking time, then your kid's not gonna change in their response to stress. And you'll just continue to be as miserable as you are right now. So, in true blunt fashion, I'm going to leave it at that and not make you feel any better at the end of it, because it's real and it's legit, and that's all I have to say about it. So, if it ruffles some feathers, fine. If you leave the group, fine. If you bring more people into the group, great. Either way, I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and that I fucking help people. So, that's it. Bye.